There is some confusion behind the scenes. The Chancellor told me, and indeed the Prime Minister herself told GBNews political editor Darren McCaffrey in interviews for GBNews yesterday that crucial fiscal statement, which is being kind of held out as a beacon on a hill, something that will calm down the financial markets, where the government explains how it's going to finance the tax cuts and deal with public spending issues going forward. They both told us, the two most senior people in the country in terms of politics, it would be on the 23rd of November. At the very same time, their advisors, their allies were briefing to us, actually, we think it might be a little bit earlier. So we wait and see until when that will happen. But I think these kind of process issues will be taking second stage this morning, because the Prime Minister is preparing to give her keynote conference speech. Of course, this is her first conference as Conservative Prime Minister. We're expecting that speech about 11 o'clock, and it will be all about trying to rally the troops, trying to put these differences that we've seen over the last few days behind them, trying to motivate the Conservative activists, which really are the people who come to conference for the most part, the people who stuff envelopes, who knock on doors, who these days manage email databases of voters and potential voters, rallying them to go out there and trying to sell that Conservative message. The problem is there's still quite a lot of there's a lot of argument about what that Conservative message actually is.
Do the markets have confidence and trust in her, do you think? Because it was going to be the 23rd of November, then it wasn't, then it is, now it might not be, and we still don't have a new date. The longer that carries on, surely the markets will get more and more jittery.
Look, I think financial markets have settled. The pound is now well above where it was before the mini budget. It's been $1.13, $1.14. It went all the way down to $1.03, of course, in the immediate aftermath of that mini budget. Borrowing costs in what we call the 10-year gilts market. What is that? That's the kind of wholesale market for money where the government borrows. Those interest rates ripple out across the whole of the rest of the economy for mortgage holders, those with personal loans, of course. Interest rates on those money markets, they're now well below 4%. They were up at 4.5% in the aftermath of the mini-budget. But what's going on here, Paul, even though the markets do seem to have a lot more confidence, there's a long-term trend here that's got nothing to do with politics, nothing to do with U-turns and O-turns, nothing to do with exclusive interviews with the Chancellor of the Exchequer, and everything to do with long-term trends. The long-term trend here, as we wean ourselves off those emergency measures that followed the 2008 financial crisis, ultra-low interest rates, very, very loose monetary policy, lots of money printing by central banks around the world, as all that comes to an end, interest rates will rise. Borrowing costs will rise. The question is how quickly they will rise and to what level. And no politician really controls that. That is about long-term economic trends. And I think what the Prime Minister is going to have to do is and the Chancellor, and he did a little bit of it in that interview with me yesterday when he gave himself a chance to sit down and actually explain himself. What they need to do is to really level with the British people and tell them that we are at the whim of some of these long-term trends, and the government's growth package, far from causing more turmoil, will actually try and protect us from these long-term trends, providing help for hard-pressed families as borrowing costs rise. It's a narrative that's quite difficult to sell. It's quite a complicated message, but it strikes me, Isabel and Paul, that unless the government starts selling it soon, then voters are going to start showing some serious discontent.